Good evening, friends. Today is the 20th of February, 2026. On this very day, on 1968, Auroville was inaugurated, and here in Auroville, we celebrate it as our birthday, as Auroville's birthday. Uh, with this will be the culmination of our week-long Auroville Convivial Talks, which we initiated on 21st of February on Mother's birthday. And today afternoon, we have with us Minhaj Ameen and Lalit. They are two senior Aurovillians. I had the opportunity of kind of associating with them during an initiative by Auroville Campus Initiative called the Confluence Program, where in fact those of you know me that I'm a co-founder of this initiative called Auroville Film Institute. It was almost born there, even beyond our imagination. We didn't go there to conceive that, but it was born there. It took time. It took 2 years to uh, get itself functioning in 2019, but it was something that started with Lalit and Min. Uh, so I will briefly introduce Lalit. Today is going to give an overview, kind of a picture in terms of how Auroville is kind of a living curriculum where every day of being here in Auroville is learning, and how we are accommodating that journey for ourselves, and how we can facilitate that for others. And after that, Min is going to talk about his understanding and how the units of Auroville function, how these individual learnings then form into units and functional units, and how it negotiates economy, money, and then which eventually culminates how we kind of govern ourselves, a bit of governance which Min has been part of. Yeah, that is going to be the kind of format. So I will introduce Lalit to you. Lalit Kumar Bhati came to Auroville as 26 years old and has lived and worked here for over 25 years as an architect, urban planner, contributing as a team member to the Master Plan, Auroville Campus Initiative, the Swadharma program, co-founded Path Design Studio with Shailaja, has deep interest in collective evolution, systems, and learning society, and love for photography. His journey reflects an ongoing exploration of Auroville as a living curriculum where inner growth, community process, and material manifestation co-evolve through practice. I will also, at this very moment, would like to kind of introduce Min. Minhaj Ameen is Director of Strategy, Finance, and Administration at the Agroecology Fund. He holds a degree in engineering and an MBA from Manchester Business School, UK. His belief that humanity can only truly thrive when we elevate the suffering of all beings has led him to co-create and lead initiatives in renewable energy, waste management, reforestation, water conservation, agriculture, and education. He helped establish the National Coalition of Natural Farming, the largest network of its kind in India, to advance agroecology on a large scale. Thank you, Min, and thank you, Lalit, for being with us. Over to you, Lalit.
Thank you, Rivu. Hi, Min. Also, good afternoon, everyone, and also again, greetings from Auroville on this very special and auspicious day, the birthday of Auroville. I'll directly start with my presentation, also in the interest of time. Just give me a second. Just a second. Yeah. Are you able to see it?
We can see it, Min. Lalit, we can see it.
It's coming? Okay.
Yeah,
Let me know, because I'm directly seeing my presentation now. So in case if there is something odd, Rivu or Min, just tell me about this. So I'll be taking you through as my understanding and the reading of Auroville's growth, evolution, and also the potential where city itself is a living curriculum. This is very much known to all of us, most of us, that all problems of existence are essentially the problem of harmony, as Sri Aurobindo said. So all the problems, whatever we are facing, I treat them, I see them as journey. They are very much part and parcel of this evolutionary journey. Little bit of a background. I come from a small educational town called Roorkee in the foothills of Himalaya in Uttarakhand now. And this canal used to, like, it is still passing from in the center of city, and this has been my growing context here. The small scale city was there, and a nice, I would say, beautiful environment. And also there was a very community culture in the area where we used to stay with many other people. So that is my background. Yeah, this is another view. This was irrigation infrastructure coming back from British time. Very major canal of India, Upper Ganga Canal. And yeah, and another interest over a period of time also with the family setting evolved, how different dimensions of society, culture, water, festival, faith, belief, how the collective systems evolved. And I have always been having a very special liking for mapping. How maps allow different layers, different aspects of things to bring together. This is images from one of the book by an Italian American person. It's a very beautiful mapping book. How he has recorded, documented the journey of Ganges over a 10-year period, and how it conveys different aspects, because our lives, whether individual or collective, they are multi-layered, and it is good to capture them, and mapping does that job easily. Another thing at the outset, I would also like to mention how early childhood, from mythological stories of Ramayana, Mahabharata in a normal middle class family, somehow the chapter of churning of the ocean has been very fascinating for me, because I could see there has been always forces at play, and the churning is inevitable. Over a long period of time, normal lived experience, this I could see that there is no escape from churning, or perhaps churning is very much part of the game from through which we make progress. So the other side of so-called conflict in a refined way is churning. This is what I have understood, and we need to be going through this, and we go through this whether we like it or not. This is just to give a bit of a background about me. Just on this level again, so I did architecture from Lucknow College of Architecture in 95. Then I did planning from SEPT Ahmedabad, urban and regional planning in 97. And I did first and last job with ISKCON planning office in Bangalore. We were part of the team which was working on Temple Township in the ISKCON's world headquarters, Mayapur, Navadip in West Bengal, with a large scale township for 50,000 and a large pilgrim population visiting. So we were the planning and design team. From there, I got a chance to come to study Auroville and Auroville's economy. Uh, this con organization, they wanted to understand how economy of Auroville. So that was way back in 97, 98. So that was a very in detail understanding and chance to know more about Auroville. And when the previous job came to an end, I got a chance, and I thought it would be nice to try to come and, yeah, explore Auroville. Since then, and I was young, newly married, my wife Shailaja, also an architect, we both decided to come here, and since then we are also here. We have two children. Daughter, her name is Sagrika. She is 25 now. She is an Auroville child, born, grown up here, has been to Auroville educational system, last school, and she completed, yeah, she made her portfolio and submitted to one college in USA. So she got admission, which was portfolio based, and she secured more than 90% scholarship and completed her liberal arts. Now she's back in Auroville and working. This is just to give the personal side of the picture, also how both self and individual and the collective system are able to evolve together. This is coming from that perspective. Another boy we have who goes to Auroville schools, and yeah, he's also, I would say, very fine human being. And so just to give a reference, whatever world we are talking about, sustainable development goals or climate change, most of these in its own way, Orwell has been working, attempting from much earlier. This is something interesting, also keeping in mind as a reference, the first top line or the phrase of all of these is very interesting. Even UNESCO is talking about this. Is learning to know, learning to be, learning to live together, learning to do, and learning to transform oneself and society. This is what UNESCO is also talking now for education for sustainable development. This is very great fit and relate very well with what Orwell is also attempting or aiming and yeah, going towards in that direction. And Orwell is a living experimentation and a fertile creative play field to try out, test, work out these kind of these approaches. Very well known. I would not like to repeat. Before me, many speakers have come, and most of you, those who may be watching today or later, you must be very familiar with the Charter of Auroville. Auroville is based on the spiritual vision and ideals of Mother and Sri Aurobindo. This was the inauguration time of Auroville. Now it is 58 years young, the inauguration time. So I'm just going through a very quickly overview. And this was the beginning of Auroville, how even if the city had ideals, charter, a vision for the future humanity, but the beginning was in these kind of very testing circumstances. Only volunteers, there was no particular either budget, tool, equipment, and this was the place where Auroville was supposed to come. Very little poor vegetation, very hard red soil. So the first work was making the land livable. People put their very hard work. So even if they came from any background, the call of the time and the land was that people worked on revival of the living systems, making the land livable, and with lots of learning from also with the local collaboration from surrounding village population, those who had very good understanding and know-how of how the vegetation, farming, and other green activities can be taken place. You can see here eroded landscape and the beginning of Auroville. In the down center, you see a small tree, that is the banyan tree, when it was much younger. What we see today is something like this. In the first 20 years, a massive plantation, afforestation, water recharge activity. The whole of site was essentially water recharge area. So this must have been one of the very special exercise, both in size and scale, with a very volunteer participation, how the whole revival of a landscape has taken place. What happens when you do plantation in such a large area? The groundwater table changes, socio-economic condition of the surrounding rural population, that also getting impacted positively. Many, even studies on these things have been done. So one of the major activity which Auroville has done in the beginning towards the township is preparing the land, preparing the physical aspect. And this has also led to, so first they learning by doing approach. So lots of experience was gained, and from that experience, expertise came. I will show you in the later slides how those expertise have been used around Auroville as well as in a wider Indian landscape. A dimension of how the city is a living curriculum. Some of the images, just quickly. As very well known, the aim of Auroville is to go for to work for human unity. This is a 3D rendered image of what is known as galaxy plan. Many of you may have seen it in one form or another. This is the very quick overview snapshot of the land use plan of the master plan. The proposed population is 50,000. We are today approximately 3,200, 300 approximately from 60 plus countries. The central circle where you see 1, 2, 3, 4 written, this is the city area which has 4 zones: cultural, residential, industrial, international
Is it just
industry,
me or this
and in
connection
the
is
center
bad?
is the police area. And
Lalit, I think your connection is dropping. Let's just pause for a minute.
I can't. Is it not good?
Yeah, your presentation dropped, sound dropped. Wait for a minute. Or you can just switch off the video and continue because we are on your PPT.
We lost it.
No, we can hear you, Lalit. Continue.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that actually. Why not? I can just give me a second. Uh, Stop sharing. I'm just going to turn off the camera. Stop presenting. Not just. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
We can.
It's not the best, but we now we lost you again.
Lalit, you can get back to your presentation and you can switch your camera off for a little while. I think the internet will get
Connection
better.
is lost. Yeah, can you hear me now? Is it
Yes.
okay? Sorry for the inconvenience and the loss. Shall I continue?
Yes, continue.
Okay.
You can put back the presentation if you
Is
want.
it the same thing? Huh? Yeah. Is it? Are you able to see it now? Is it
The
that is
presentation?
coming?
No, we can't see
Yeah.
the
Is it
presentation.
coming? Can you see it?
No, we can't see the presentation.
Okay. Hold on. I think
You have to
something
present
has.
it again.
Yeah. Looks like I'm just trying, but I have to. It is asking for a stop sharing. Okay. Something is not happening quickly. I don't know. Just a sorry. It is not allowing me to stop sharing something. Maybe I'll just reconnect. Is it fine?
Yes, yes, do that.
I'll just reconnect. Okay. So yeah, I was giving an overview of Auroville's plan and also the surrounding area. When within the green belt we have 6 native villages. This is a larger the land holding how Auroville is historically the land was purchased. So these also set up a tone for how the local collaborative systems needs to be developed. Some of the images from Auroville's development, Matre Mandir, the soul of Auroville. These are Matre Mandir garden diagram, which also talks about the gardens as well as the petals. So these are the vibrations which are supposed to be also kept in mind when the rest of the development in Auroville is happening. So this which relates to the four aspects given by the mother, four in cardinal direction: Maheshwari, Mahakali, Mahasaraswati, and Mahalakshmi, where she talks extensively about how these particular areas, all the four zones, residential, cultural, international, and industrial, they should be inhabiting those qualities and developing on those. So we are in the very beginning stages, like I always say, child learning how to walk. So what Auroville has done is incredibly amazing, inspiring work so far to prepare the base, but there's a long way to continue. From a development perspective, we are on a plateau near north of Pondicherry, so that also makes it very special in terms of water planning and related, yeah, regional development. These are the layers of planning within the city, different layers, how the canyons, soil type, and other development, including galaxy plan, which is mentioned in this. This was some of the work which was done and attempted with Mr. B.B. Doshi when he was the chairman of planning group that time and also governing board member. So some of the work was attempted with him. So this is a bioregional larger dimension. How Auroville is a part of almost 800 square kilometer Kalivili watershed. And Auroville has been doing quite amazing, tremendous work in this large area in different dimensions, which you will see later. Which a quick look of some of the forest images. Auroville has been working on different uh, water approaches, the wastewater treatment technologies, percolation areas, renewable energy options. So all these in different field, in different areas, different people, those who felt drawn to a particular type of nature of activity, they have been contributing tremendously for the growth of Auroville. And all these areas have been a field of learning rather in the leading one. Auroville has been a leading site in this complex. This is how the farming activity is happening, and there are many farms in Auroville, and they also contribute to the food security aspect of Auroville. Education, integral education is one of the key area, and I think one of the very beautiful collective and organizational institutional work which has happened. It has happened also apart from many others in the field of education. There are different wide variety of expressions in architecture from early on. So it's a very creative site, image from last school, and different alternative construction technologies which have been happening. So all these works, different people following their Swadharma and Swabhav, they have been working what they felt, what they could imagine, what Auroville is offering them both freedom and the sense of engagement and purpose. People have been putting their energy, and a wide variety and field of experimentative field has been created, which I think is very, very, very rich. Yeah, this is from Nandanam Kindergarten, one of the kindergarten in Auroville. Yeah, this is once in a while how community also comes together, like also today. And there are different diverse recognitions which Auroville has got in multiple fields. A very rich art and cultural dimension, which has because of also the nationalities coming from, yeah, people coming from different background. This was one of the very interesting thing when I was planning coordinator of planning group. There was a couple, an Israeli couple with me, professionals, both were PhD, and they came up with this idea and they offered their work, help, and services, and they developed a tool and a platform called Integral Sustainability Platform. What you are seeing, all these are the dimensions and domains of city and society, and there were team of 7 to even 10, 12 people in each one of them, and they met almost for a year, once in 2 weeks. And very, very detailed work report, vision, issues, challenges were noted down. And then there was a crisscross meeting. What is the relationship of each one of these? So it was a way of figuring it out how all the systems can co-evolve. And this work can be shared if people are interested. So whatever I'm showing is different, some of the work, and I'm showing only a very small part of what has been attempted in that too in a diverse field. Maybe I'm showing more which are coming or close to my also professional background, which is architecture, urban planning, more in that side. This was an exhibition for planning, how the work of planning. So this was for the purpose of, there has been a very large effort of, say, the community participatory in based approach. So participation can be enriched if people are also having a good and detailed idea of what is both the vision, purpose, mandate, kind of work which has been done before. And many times it was found that planning related activities were not well informed in terms of making it accessible in terms of communication. So this was an exhibition which was done for the community members. Very detailed how the even regional planning aspect of Auroville, how the plan development, galaxy plan evolved, how line of force evolved, different sketches by Roger, our late chief architect. So these were, which was the earlier work. They were supposed to be kind of a ground for other people to explore and take them further, something like this. Different approaches. So these were initial indicative exploration which have been given, and different creative people, professionals, they could work upon them, work out further. So our office also attempted one of them, uh, one of the line of force. One of the big one was there, line of goodwill, which goes from Matre Mandir lakefront to visitor center side. It's almost 1 kilometer long. And because of line of force are the big, say the housing, horizontal, incline and hill landscape housing. It's very interesting, and large percentage or share of population is supposed to be living in this, so that open areas, ground areas are liberated more for, yeah, having availability of open spaces. So this was one of the attempt which we did, and many other people, many other professionals have within Auroville have been attempting. Many other people also take these things for study, thesis, studios in different way. This was another small one. So I'm just also presenting some of the work which we have attempted, for which we have the first-hand experience. Other people have also been attempting. This was a line of force progress, and this something like this was coming up. So our population growth rate right now is not so much in Auroville, but we need to be preparing for the receiving of the more population and working out even different options, how the infrastructure housing solutions can be provided, funded. So I think part of the discussion will happen later in the next part. Some of the work which has been done on Matre Mandir Garden. This was also design competition. So in different aspects, Auroville is also evolving and attempting different approaches for work collaboration. This was it was Crown Weavers. There was an exercise which was done, how the collaborative work can be done. So this was some of the work what we did, how more social landscape areas, connectivity, public transport could be developed, activities where, yeah, people can come together. Yeah, some of the images. And a large number of Auroville architects had taken part in this. So these are some of the attempts which Auroville has been doing. Presently, we are working, our office is also working on the reception pavilion of Matre Mandir, which from where the entry in the Matre Mandir would be. Work on lake is happening. There is a lake team. Matre Mandir is working with them. Yeah, this is some of the images of that. The Matre Mandir reception pavilion, the building which has a circular and cross-cutting forest open space. Some of the images from, so these are some of the development which are also happening, because there is a large number of population which is also coming as visitor population, not only to visit daily, but also going to Matre Mandir for meditation. So these dynamics are also evolving at the same time. One of the thing, there was a corona time, and nobody had much work opportunity. So we went further inside, and our office came up with these diaries, which were more of a self-development tool based on the 12 qualities given by the mother. So there is a huge possibility which Auroville offers, where things can be created, co-created, and yeah. This was the inauguration time of, Min is also sitting here, inauguration time of Glass School. Am I audible? Is it clear?
You're
Audible?
audible.
Okay, fine. So yeah, Auroville farms where people have been working for the farming activity, organic, local production and economy. There will be more talk about this by Min later. Auroville is employing close to 6 to 8,000 people from surrounding villages. Cycle network and all many of these activities have been done by the people those who felt very motivated and inspired and encouraged and also having a personal taste and discipline to work on them, so they started taking care of track. This is the way the development and growth has been happening so far. Auroville marathon is very also very institutional level, very successful. I think 16th marathon just happened on the last Sunday in Auroville, and 3 to 4,000 people from all over India they have been taking part. So beginning of last school areas, TLC and other different experiments, different groups have been experimenting different activities. News and notes, which is serving as some of the purpose of keeping not only people here aware, anybody in the outside about a city. Very few cities will have these kind of possibilities where something is shared in this kind of format. This was where we also work together, both myself, Min and Michael. Michael is also gone out now. So we happened to collaborate and co-founded Auroville Campus Initiative, ACI group. And one of the first activity of that was Joy of Learning series. It was a kind of a TED Talk series within by Aurovillians for Auroville community, so that the whole idea was that we know more about or in depth about a particular topic which is impacting or relates with our life. So some 8 to 10 topics were covered, 2 sessions on economy, master plan, water, housing, mobility, outreach activities, food, farming, something like that. So these sessions were recorded and they were available on Auroville Radio. There was some transcription. So these were some of the efforts which we have been making. So like it was not limited to that I was working only in the field of learning. I have been greatly drawn to the learning activity. I see Auroville as a learning society, and we should be making effort to keep Auroville on the learning map of the world. That is important. This was another joy of learning, which was on planning, where all this was explained how different evolution of master plan came up. This was another important program which came. Manoj also joined us later in ACI. It was Swadharma program. I think we ran some 8 to 9 batches, actually 5 week residential program in Auroville. One was done, I believe, online because by that time Corona times had started. And then other variation of this program came. And from there, even Purnam Institute, Purnam Integral Center, learning community also started. How so this has been also very fascinating how energies have been coming together at a certain time, also perhaps diffusing, and another form, another activity, another groups has been creating. So this program was also very interesting, that how whatever we have learned or understood with our 20 years of life, how we can pass it on some of the things or facilitate a growth of that kind of learning to the younger generation. With that intention, these programs were offered. These are some of the bioregional activities which Auroville has been engaged in. These were the posters which are also in visitor center. So in the field of environment, health and well-being, community development, culture, arts, sports, economic development. These are the areas in which Auroville has been, I think, close to the total number where Auroville Village Action and other activities, they are touching close to 1,100,000 people in the larger, almost, I think, 20-kilometer radius or more, immediate bioregion, what we can call. Another very interesting effort which was done by a group called Crown Ways, where collective creative exercise, and this lasted very long. They had multiple seasons for this also. Very interesting work of how collaborative systems can be developed or tried out. So Auroville has been having, people have been also experimenting and trying the ways to attempt different activities. One thing which I realized is city and planning are an act of synthesization, hence it is an act of yoga. And that adds this dimension of challenge. One can also call it difficulty, because bringing things together, to bring them together, to add them together, which I think is a dimension of human unity, and that makes it challenging genuinely. So this will remain. This will remain. And how Auroville experience, which became expertise, has been used by outside. This is in Adyar Ponga Park. Auroville expertise people have been helping, and they gave a gift. Chandikulam had done this work, a gift of a open space, designed space to a city. Auroville is a kind of learning society. I tend to see more with that lens. I am myself engaged in many learning activities, whether architecture, planning, design, workshops, programs. These are faculty members from Surat Oro University, those who had come, and we had a curriculum design workshop with them. They are from diverse background. They are at the Eco Service Auroville trying to understand the whole waste management systems and cycle. This was with SEPT Urban Design Workshop, different publications which are available. What I'm showing is very partial glimpse just to give you an overview how different components are available. People have been coming. Wasteless has been doing also remarkable work. They are so passionate about their work that their book on garbology, I think it is this one, which has been used in also Tamil Nadu State Board curriculum, which is, I think this is something like this highlights like living curriculum aspect, that people here are working on some dedicated topics because of their passion, interest, insight, and they develop it so much that it is further being used, adopted in a different context. Botanical garden has been doing very nice work with the eco landscaping, the leftover mines which are being rehabilitated, large scale work, uh, tanks, eries, large ponds, they have been re-established. There is also a large interest which has come up, and not only in urban development and spirituality. It's not only that outer sustainability, but inner sustainability is key. There are many programs, activities which are happening in this line, and I'm part of some of the network. Auroville also has, along with Puducherry and Villupuram and Kadalur, a regional planning framework. So even if with a small group of people, Auroville has been putting fairly good amount of energy, I would say conscious effort, to be able to put forward thought, idea, initiative, activity, that how we can grow together. A dimension of collaboration, which is again a part of human unity framework, if we see. So very good initiatives have been done, but they need to be taken up further. So the second stage has its own challenges where these needs to be developed. This I can mention quickly. These are the names of WhatsApp group which have come up nearby Auroville. If our population is 3,500, maybe there's a one more. I can share with this. I will come back to that. So we are larger picture is this is a large belt of recreation. From the top layer is Mahabalipuram till Pondicherry. So we are part of a large recreational belt where huge development is anyway coming, and Auroville is part of that belt. So quite a lot of development come in these surroundings. So we need to be prepared. We need to be proactively preparing ourselves so that Auroville's the main reason, purpose, surrounding environment is in alignment with this vision and the requirements. These are the surrounding developments which are coming. So in the previous one, I was saying in the surrounding of Auroville, many people have always been coming. There's a rapid urbanization which is coming because of tourist related activities. And there are not less than 20-30 WhatsApp group. Half of the people on those group will be from Auroville and half, I guess, are from outside. So there is already different level of exchanges, communication, exchanges of all kinds are happening. So a new reality, a new phase of development has already kicked in. And I think this is to be taken into account, and Auroville needs to prepare. Like we need pioneers of the next stage now. The people need to come together. Our office has done the plan work. So I have been associating with particularly one Queen's University, School of Planning Canada, and their students have been coming for a study abroad program, International Planning Studio. So we did a very detailed mapping of how many eateries and other development have come on the main access road because of all tourism. So Auroville has now become a very strong magnet, and this has started tourism activity and a rapid urbanization. It's a matter of time this area will see a very major change. So as and when we will be 50,000, the surrounding population is likely to be even 5 lakh or maybe even more. So all this needs to be taken into account, and if it needs to be worked towards. Yeah, these were some of the planning guidelines for the villages in Greenbelt. This was also a student project. So all these works have been attempted. Growth management framework, tourism impact management framework. All this is done in association with the students, visiting students. So this is a possibility. Many more youth, other people can be engaged in order to also meet Auroville's learning input requirement. Road to Auroville, these are the reports, and I'm happy to share if somebody is interested how the evolution of Auroville and village, particularly this was with Kuilapalli. Learning from Auroville, whatever we have or I have learned, I'm happy to always share. This is workshops with IIT Chennai, IGCS. This was in Germany. This was one of the workshop we did together. Imageries of inside-out placemaking. So there is a large interest which is coming about the peacefulness, inner sustainability, inner dimension. And yeah, this topic is growing also well. Inner transformation for sustainable urban futures, initiated online web webinar, engaging city and the region. These have been done. I also happen to co-author one paper on enabling transformative urban development for integral sustainability, a case for tapping the potential of Sri Aurobindo's philosophy in planning, practice, and theory. So these material and the recent one I happen to, along with intact and other pedestrianization of Pondicherry City Boulevard area. So many activities of these types are happening. Some of the last images from Auroville. Yeah, this is banyan tree. So I like this, what Sri Aurobindo says, an outer activity as well as an inner change is needed, and it must be at once, spiritual, cultural, educational, social, and economical action. So I see all this is for me a living curriculum, and Auroville has been providing a very inspiring, very motivating, very fertile, creative playground to act as a living curriculum. I think this is almost, yeah, last few. India is in a rapid urbanization drive, and Shribindo also talks about the role of India and India's future. So, what Auroville has done and developed so far, even if it's in a minute way, there is quite a lot of things which Auroville can share in whatever way possible, and also both way exchange can happen with the larger Indian setup. How the campuses, the learning, how the local sustainability, local event tourism, responsible tourism possibility, many things. Now with the advent of technology, many new things can be done. So we are essentially talking about the self, society, and environment, and we're working with the purpose, following a path, and developing a practice. Or is a process and field of engagement and transformation. So this is, I would end it here, a living approach of applied research towards integral city region, society, and the region. Thank you very much. Did I go overboard?
Yeah, you can switch on your camera. Thank you, Lalit. Thank you for this fantastic overview presentation. You started with the personal. Thank you so much. I mean, how should we go about it? Would you like to kind of
Yeah,
ask?
Lalit did a fantastic job by giving an overview. Um, what I would like to do is maybe um, convert this into something more personal and also talk about some specific elements of Auroville and Auroville's community life. Um, so, Alivu and Lalit, I think we know each other very well. We have worked together. I would like to use this opportunity to, first of all, express my deep gratitude for the uh, for the good fortune I had to discover Auroville and then to work with so many wonderful people. So the first part of my little address today would be just to go through my own personal journey and name the people who were critical, like Rivu, you pointed out about your journey in shaping my thoughts, in giving me platforms to express myself and create things, and then hopefully lead to what is happening in the Auroville economy right now, what are the challenges, and some suggestions that I think could help. I'll keep all of this very brief, so that we can have more time for a little discussion at the end, if possible. So my journey began when I was living in the UK, working for IBM, and the usual consulting world. And I had a very dear friend called Helen Appleyard, who discovered Auroville in an article in a magazine published by Schumacher University, and it was a fantastic article about how Auroville is one of those unique eco villages, and one of the largest ones in the world, and one of the very few ones in the global south. And I was surprised to read that something like this is happening in India. Within a couple of weeks, I booked my holiday and I came to visit Auroville and went on a 5-day tour with a lady called Amra. I was early in my visit to Auroville. It was not the guest season yet, so I was the only tourist, if you like, on that Auroville tour. Now, let me just say one thing about my journey. While I was spiritually inclined and on a spiritual quest, my larger aspiration was around sustainability, around how we can conserve our ecosystem, other living forms. How can we make life uh, living such that we don't harm the current ecosystem which supports human life, and it's very, very fragile. So I came with that lens, and I landed in one of the most beautiful places in Auroville called the Central Guest House. And the banyan tree there was, basically divine, and that spurred into many conversations with other guests, Aurovillians, and so on. So once I moved to Auroville, I volunteered in many places, and then I also did start some units, work for the community and in community governance system. I will split this into few sections. The first section is my experiences with volunteering in Auroville with different units and the amazing learning that happened. Then creating units myself and that learning and maybe some adventure involved in that. And then my time with the Auroville working groups. And then finally, something that Lalit and I did together, I think we'll have a little discussion on that as well, if time permits. But before that, I also talk about the Auroville economic system. Now, when I landed here, first of all, what I observed was that Auroville is one such unique place where, if you think about innovation in applied solutions for sustainability, for water, for agriculture, for reforestation, for energy, it was, one of the best places in the world. That's what I learned. And I think if you look at innovation per capita in these areas in the world today, I think Auroville will be one of the highest. I think we are now on a decline a little bit, but for when Lalit and I came a little later than Lalit. That was one of the peak eras of Auroville in terms of innovation in these areas. And it was really fascinating to be with people who were doing all that work. Um, my first experience in Auroville was to live in a forest community called Adventure. And I was the newbie in that community. And I came at a time when we had just harvested cashew. We had a small cashew tope, and it was all organic. And my first task was to sell that cashew in the community. So I went around putting posters for selling 200 kilograms of cashew, which was fun. A great way to learn about different communities in Auroville, different guest houses. Fantastic. My second stint was working at Buddha Garden. The lovely Priya, who was doing amazing work with mostly growing vegetables, trying to combine her own personal spiritual journey with manifestation in terms of growing food, allowing other people to come and learn about growing food and experience what it means to live in Auroville. So I lived in a hut and I helped Priya to publish one of her many books. Again, a great learning. And I mean, I had never done this work. I had never seen how the book comes together. So, yeah, fantastic, fantastic experience working with Priya. So these experiences were so varied that you in a normal city life or anywhere else in the world, you would never be able to taste so many different elements of human endeavor, human innovation in such a short period of time, which I was lucky to have experience. The next experience was to help Uma from Upasna to launch a sustainable product shop in Mysore, of all places, with a bunch of partners. And the shop became an immediate hit. The design was done by another Aurovillian, Torquil, and the way things were displayed and how the cafe was created by Mark Coffee, as we call him, was a great draw in Mysore. And for many months, it was one of the centers of attraction for tourists and uh, citizens alike, residents alike. The next experience was to work with uh, Pichandikulam, where Joss was developing. And all of this also shows the variety of things Aurovillians were doing in Auroville and across the country and the world. Joss was involved in developing uh, a, a little park in the center of Chennai, which was a dump yard for many years, and it was becoming an eyesore. And so Joss was given this task to convert this into a little forest and a park, and I was invited to help him with of all the things in the world in finances of uh, delivering the project. And we managed to find some ways to Joss, being very creative, would overspend money in doing some amazing things, and then we had to find ways to recover that money from the government. Very, very interesting and challenging experience. Um, by the way, Adyar Punga was so successful that it brought back some 12 species of grass, many species of birds and butterflies and turtles and snakes. And one of the signages in Adyar Punga, if you ever get to visit it, was mind the snakes, don't step on them. So that's the kind of passion he had for wildlife, which also rubbed off on me. Another thing that we did in Auroville was to see how the work that was happening on reforestation could be taken to other parts of the world and the country. And I took Sadhana Forest's work to Meghalaya government, and this was many years ago. And now there are many Sadhana forest centers in Meghalaya, which are trying to promote water conservation, reforestation, and living peacefully with nature. I spent a lot of time at uh, Aurora. In those days, Aurora, CSR, and Auroville Earth Institute were all in the same campus doing amazing, interesting work in terms of renewable energy, wastewater treatment, and building materials. I got to work with all of them, and we did some very interesting work when LED was just emerging in 2007 to how to use LEDs to solve the problem of lighting for the poorest of the poor in the country. Very rewarding. We went to remote parts of India in Bhuj, which was affected by an earthquake at that time. There was a lot of adversity there for people, and we helped with these lights um, to communities who were salt pan workers and fishermen from that region. So this is what I mean. This is just a little glimpse. I work with several other units in Auroville of the opportunities and great, wonderful experiences of working with passionate people doing it. The second phase of my life in Auroville was to manifest some of the ideas I had, and see how they can be taken and scaled, taken further and scaled. One such experiment was to look at mobility. I was baffled how a place which was so interested in renewable energy, in lowering emissions, was so dependent on taxis, and taxis that to one passenger going to Chennai airport and coming back, and not being able to create this collective transport system, at least between Chennai and Auroville. And at that time, the working committee wrote to me and asked me what are the solutions, because I used to write about those things on Oronet, and I suggested that we should create this pool taxi service in Auroville. Um, and they said, yes, this is a good idea. Let's see how that can be manifested. After several months, nothing happened. So I wrote to them again saying, if you're not going to do anything, I will do it. And Auroville being Auroville, they said, please go ahead. Our blessings to you. And so that's how shared transport service began. And then that turned into integral transport service. And then we added more vehicles there. We got a little shed in front of the solar kitchen. I still feel more needs to be done in this area, but again, this possibility of having a shared transport service was really fantastic. And since then, we have saved thousands of tons of carbon emissions because people shared taxis as a result of that. The second little work that we did was around the library of things, how not buying things which are used very sparingly, but as a collective, as a community, having a place where people can come and borrow a drill machine, or a travel equipment, or tracking equipment, or even cooking appliances which are not used every day, could be done. And for a while, the library of things was going very well, but I think we need to put more effort into sharing things in Auroville, which will also reduce the cost of living, but also give people opportunity to connect with each other, by sharing items which they don't use very often. In the same vein, one of the things I realized, and I'll talk more about this when I come to the economy of Auroville, is food in Auroville is very expensive. It's generally catered for visitors and tourists, and not for people who live in Auroville. So if you want to eat, besides the solar kitchen and PTDC, most places are very expensive. So we wanted to create a place where people, especially young people who come as volunteers, could come and have authentic Indian food at an affordable price. And that's how Neem Tree was born. And luckily, we got a space in Mahalakshmi Park, and right opposite the solar kitchen. And now it is one of the favorite haunts for many Aurovillians and young people. Just a couple of failures, and before I talk about happiness, I also started an organization to reduce plastic waste by replacing bottled water, and I failed miserably. I learned very soon that unless you have larger campaigns around regulating how plastic is used in the country or in the world, alternatives will not thrive. And we spent 2 years doing this work. Again, a lot of learning, but it failed. Another initiative that we started was called Impact Wala, where we were hoping to have ratings of products on their impact on their health, on social impact, and also environmental impact, so that people can evaluate their purchases not only on price and brand, but also these elements which affect the commons. Unfortunately, again, we realized that this is something that has to come through regulation, and cannot be done just by providing information which does not sit on e-retailer websites and such like. But in the process, we started using AI many years ago, before AI became so popular, to create these ratings from scraping data from public websites. Finally, Earth and Us, which was something very close to my heart. We managed to work with 5,000 schools across the country in 7 states to impart education around environmental awareness, around sustainability, around hygiene and use of toilets. In addition to that, we worked with the Tamil Nadu government on waste management, and our training material was used by 500 town panchayats across Tamil Nadu. But these are some of the things that we did as units, and it led to a lot of learning. I also was a member of many working groups. I was the core coordinator, the lead coordinator for TDC for 2 years. And we managed to raise some money from other sources, including the government, to get some planning work done. I was also part of the finance committee, FAMC of Auroville, and then little time at the working committee. Now, all of these experiences have led to my understanding on Auroville economy. This is what I would like to talk about for just a few minutes. First, let me start with what is the meaning of economics in Greek. Economics means management of a household. Now, how do you create a system to manage a household like Auroville? And generally, if you want to create a system, you need to have some rules. And so a place like Auroville, which has no rules, or didn't have any rules until recently, where now we are trying to create more formal structures. How do you create an economic system in a place which has no rules? This was my first question to myself while trying to understand and unravel this beast of Auroville economy. I was part of many studies, many experiments around barter systems, Auroville currency, and all of that led to more questions than answers. How do we bring resources to Auroville to make this idea of prosperity, which is income for all, possible? How do we need to bring resources to join Auroville? This is something that I've heard from many people, that bring your own money, bring your own resources, then you can afford to make a deposit or a donation for a house, and then also be able to support your life as you try to live on a maintenance. So is it necessary to bring resources before you join Auroville? If that is the case, how will we attract young people who are just starting out, maybe already have a debt to pay off because of their studies, study loans? How will we attract them to build the city? Because we need young people. They will do much more work than people who are of my age group, but also bring innovation and new ideas. So this is another challenge. What should the prosperity system entail? Should it cover my entire cost, the cost of the health of my parents, the cost of education of my children? If yes, how will we afford that? How is a simple, beautiful life possible in a city that generally is supported through tourism? And by tourism, I mean everything that is designed here is for, in most cases, to attract visitors and tourists to spend money. So these things are attractive. Food is expensive, for that money can come and support Aurovillians. Um, and even the items that are made by Aurovillians are expensive. So how do you live in a community which wants to live a simple life in harmony with the economic engine, which is catering to mostly to tourists? Now let me just take us through a thought experiment. What happens in Auroville right now is I want to support myself a little bit more than a maintenance, little bit more than what I get from my unit. So I start charging more for my services. And these services I also provide to Aurovillians, whether it's my restaurant, or whether I'm offering a consultancy, or whatever that service may be. Now, as I do that, and maybe even if I'm producing a product and I charge the same rate as I charge the tourists from Aurovillians, as I do that, I come to a point where um, the other Aurovillians also feel the pinch of not being able to afford my services and services of people like me who are trying to make some extra resources to maybe support their family, to send their child to for higher education. As that happens, they feel the pinch and they start doing the same thing. And very quickly, we come to a point where all of us are offering our services at a premium price to the outside world. This is what I call as the tragedy of the commons. Very few are then available to provide um, time and resources for the collective work, for the commons work, for the work that is needed for the community. How will that change is the question that we have to look at today. And briefly, I would like to give what comes to me as a solution for that. One thing that we will have to do if we want to change the Auroville economy and grow the city, as Lalit was pointing out, to thousands of people, maybe 50,000 people at some point, is to support young people and their journey to come to Auroville. The second most important thing is when these young people come, and also for the older, people, Auroville has no age, but people who are a little bit more senior, um, uh, ensure that they acquire new skills that are valuable both in terms of developing Auroville and also providing services to the outside world. This is the most critical thing. And in Auroville, I have noticed on many occasions, learning skills which are valuable are not really appreciated as much or given enough avenues for the community to take up. And finally, I think one last very important component for our economy to shift is to ensure that collective work that is done for the community is considered to be important, uh, given reverence, and maybe even made, this is again in a place with no rules, mandatory. How do we appreciate that people who give time to Auroville by sacrificing their work with the outside world or creating resources is appreciated? If we try to do these three things, in my opinion, we will see more shift and more prosperity, and this possibility of attracting more youth to the community to build the city that we all dream of. I will pause here, and I would invite Lalit, if Rivu, we have time to talk about the work that we did together in terms of the retreat and the library, sorry, and the joy of learning and the Auroville campus initiative. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Min. Thank you so much for this. As you recounted your journey, many Aurovillians would kind of find it similar. Thank you so much. Uh, yeah, Lalit, uh, can you please introduce, as Min asked about the Auroville Campus Initiative? I just read, I think yesterday in an announcement that Auroville is going to have a multiversity of sorts, which is going to be inaugurated by Prime Minister Modi, I think day after tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. Uh, please tell us about Auroville, the campus, and the Auroville Campus Initiative. Lalit, are you there?
I think Lalit's connection may be poor. Let me start. Lalit,
Thank
are
you,
you
Min.
there?
First of, yeah, yes, I'm very much here. You can hear me? You can. Is
We
it?
can hear you, Lalit.
Yes, I'm here. Okay, yeah, because I'm here. I heard Min's entire narrative. I heard him fully, and I saw him fully. You can hear me now, or what?
Yes, we can. I should turn off the video.
I don't know. Shall I also turn off or something? Will that be of help?
No, you
There
can.
has
You
been a
can.
bit of a issue with connection, I must say. So thank you, Min. It was good to listen to you and your passionate insights. Once again, we have we have been discussing many of these points since early time. So there are multiple ways how I approach or I try to, I would say, make sense for myself out of these points. What Min has said. So people like Min also very passionate, very dedicated for the cause or a particular idea how they would like to develop. So they put quite a lot of energy, and I think Min and many other people, they have done a vast range of they have taken vast range of initiatives. So this is to be appreciated. This is to be appreciated, and how the people have been coming together. So always this has been my personal quest or inquiry, how different people come together, learning to be together. Somehow this has been one of my personal favorite topic also. What makes people to come together? How do they sustain energy? How do they co-create something? What are the platforms? How is energy sustained? And these are some of from my observation here for a long time. Somehow I do feel that these are very important and relevant aspects the more and more we create. So the first Auroville created a physical base which allowed the life to sustain. And now we have reached a point where our society, our needs, as been articulated quite brilliantly, it needs another level of engagement, another level of capacity, another level of skill and sense of organization. We cannot get away without that. So, as I rephrased also in the beginning, we need the pioneers of this stage, the degree of complexity, the degree of the challenges, like the heat is more on, and this will only keep growing. Naturally, it will keep growing. So we need people of that capacity and possibility, those who can come together more than individual personal brilliant capacity. Here, the challenge has more or less always been how can this be done together, and a new field of experience can be created which gives birth to next set of experiences, ideas, initiative, activities. And something like this exactly happened with, I would say, some of us when Auroville Campus Initiative has started. There was a group of some 10, 20 people, those who have been discussing the topic of Auroville higher education learning. 10, 20 people in different dimensions, right from Swaram, Love Kamad, AIAT, many people, last school group, Siru group, uh, Savi, many people have been discussing it together. And one fine day that reached to a point where there were three people, three of us, we found some energy alignment, myself, Min and Michael. And from there, the birth of ACI happened. And one of the ready project or where we found alignment was Joy of Learning, which I mentioned as a TED Talk series kind of style, a way to learn, disengaging with the so-called problem finding solution and making it a platform for arguments. So we kept it very purely. How do we learn about something? So our focus was very clear. How do we create a possibility, example, environment where we develop the culture of learning? Particularly from the point of view, it is very important. Whenever we talk about our governance, so the community participation, collaboration, they have been very high points. And Auroville has been working on those, and Auroville has been creating some experiences in that. But we never reached a point where we could develop a kind of a very platform, something more systematic, something more substantial, which can sustain itself or give birth or meet the challenges of emerging complexity. There we have, I think, not been able to, I would say, yeah, reach to that point somehow as an experience and as a community, as a society. So we realized an open participatory system also gives possibility to people coming from any kind of diverse background, which is totally fine. They can comment, say anything on any topic. While there are some parameters also, and there has been an issue and challenge from day one within Auroville community about community, township, planning, because in a way they provide the larger framework of a kind. And here people have been coming and looking for freedom. So there is a creative tension in between inbuilt, which is perhaps part of larger game plan, I guess. Then when we come together and there is a certain churning, then only next thing will come. You cannot solve the problem with some mental jugglery or just to play, articulate something mentally. It will not happen that way also. So a field of creative exchange is created. So we kept it very simple, that we invite the people, those who are knowledgeable on that particular topic. We organize, we design the sessions, which covers all aspects, historical, mother's guideline, practical reality, how things are organized, what is known, what is unknown, where we can head, what is to be improved. And we conducted, as I mentioned, some 10 sessions in 1 year. And I think it was one of the very much liked activity. It was also an act of bringing community together and creating a sense of importance of learning, rather collective learning. I think we also managed it reasonably well in terms of we did not let anybody hijack it. We did not,
Also,
like
yeah, yeah. I mean,
no, because go ahead.
no, it's not just. It's not. I mean, like, thank you, Lalit, for such a lovely introduction to this. What was also interesting was to bring very diverse perspectives to create um, a flow of presentations to make
Yeah,
sense of a topic
yeah,
on a given day. So there was a lot of work that went behind the scenes to
yeah,
create harmony that it keeps talking about between different points of view to make a narrative out of a topic. And like Lalit said, one of our main goals was that in a place like Auroville, which is very similar to places like Switzerland, where every small thing is debated on for decision making, and there is a lot of stalling happening because people can't agree, people can't come to consensus. On many occasions, people could not come to a consensus was because people did not understand the topic enough to make an informed decision. Most of the time, people would support or oppose a particular decision based on what their friends and family were telling them about it. So, how do we shift that? And I think this is even more important today, while we very struggle really on so many different aspects of Auroville life. How do we create, programs or initiatives like the Joy of Learning, maybe in a different guise, where people can learn about something more deeply in a very objective, unbiased environment, then and then come to a decision or a conclusion, whether it's about units or Auroville economy or whatever that is. I will just talk about another thing that we did together as part of the Auroville Campus Initiative. We were invited by the Auroville Foundation and the governing board to synthesize what's happening in Auroville to come up with the next steps of evolution of the community in an initiative called the Retreat. It was very similar to what Lalit presented, that this hive diagram with of everything being interlinked with each other. We broke this initiative into 9 or 10 aspects of Auroville: education, health, and so on and so forth. And we again brought experts from across the community from different points of view to sit together to mull over these topics, challenges, exchange their perspectives, and then come up with next steps of how things will change over time. I must say it was one of the most difficult things I had to do in Auroville, extremely challenging. And what I learned was consensus takes time to build. And even if this process went on for almost 3-4 months, um, my learning was that despite all of that, um, consensus on paper doesn't mean consensus in reality. So, like Lalit was saying, that maybe this requires a different kind of not just articulation but churning. I am not that confident in churning. My language is slightly different. I feel that we need to be able to learn to make decisions and stick with it. And sometimes decisions are wrong, sometimes decisions are right. But how do we empower a person or a group of people to make decisions on our behalf and respect their wisdom to take us forward? So that was my one of the biggest learnings from the retreat. Another thing that we did together was this program called Swadharma. Many of us came to Auroville because we felt a calling to do, what we felt was giving meaning to our lives, or bringing us closer to our spiritual calling or whatever. We figured out that there are a whole bunch of people working in the corporate sector or just coming out of university, or doing their master's degree, who are struggling to find really meaning in life as to what they should do, where they should go. And the current paradigm was pushing them in direction which was probably not very conducive for their souls. And Swadharma, which was co-created by, again, Auroville Campus Initiative, Mike, Lalit, Manoj joined us later, and then a whole bunch of people. And the entire community became a campus for these young people who would roam around, talk to different unit holders, service providers, working groups, to learn what brings these people together, what are they doing, and also get experience or exposure to things which they would otherwise not in their normal life. Somebody who is an great musician, talking to them about musical instruments. Someone who is a great forester who has done thousands of acres of forest rejuvenation, talking to them about their journey. I'm sure was very fulfilling for many of them. Some of them are still in touch with me, and I'm sure with Lalit, on their very, very fantastic journeys. And that, again, one of the projects which was very fulfilling for me personally. Lalit, would you like to add more to this?
Oh, many of the participants of Swadharma program later joined Auroville.
Yes.
So if we see
And some of them,
yeah, and if you see from the perspective, and that those are the things which are, I would say, joyful learning, insights, or harvesting the collective energy and the wisdom, how things come together. They create certain environment, a field, and some new things are created, and from there another branch, something is created. So like almost like a tree also, something you start and then further branching happens. So how the collective setup evolves. But there is again and again, in order for a collective setup to evolve, you need a kind of a team, a group, and energy to hold it together, at least for a certain substantial time, till the next one. It's like a baton relay also, no? You pass it on, or you just hand it over, or other people come and they pick up and they create something new. It's not that some one particular thing, it's a very diverse energy. So And we got this chance of doing retreat, or we were asked to conduct or organize a retreat because we did Joy of Learning talk. That's it. The way it was done, it was rather well done, and people could see the structure. Actually, on the fun side, you know how Auroville is. We have very also strong-minded individual. They would love their freedom and not listen to many things easily. We sometimes we made them do a dress rehearsal, which in normal case they will not do. So it was not that we did something forcefully, but in a respectful environment. Look, this is the format. You just cannot go in this format and speak anything which comes to your mind on that topic, because you will have only 20 minutes. So let us do dress rehearsal. If you can make your slide, you make. If you need help from us, we can help you with the slides part. But we do the time dress rehearsal. So 2 hours of presentation or a session of Joy of Learning, it was with 2 months of preparation. It's like, yeah, you need to put that kind of effort. And our team had that either approach, vision, temperament, skill, capacity to, yeah, bring it together. And again, the beautiful thing is, like, I come from a different mindset. You would have seen an approach and way of thinking. Many is different, the way he applies, and we always had our fair share of differences, beautiful fights. We had everything. But there was, and I think that is most one of the beautiful learning, that we were still able to go along, walk together, work together, because there was some common element, and somewhere that has been, I think, a learning society element. This is what the way I'm phrasing is this. Men can use another word or phrase for this, but that was which brought us together, and we are whatever we could do together. Very nice
No,
experience.
and try to get a passionate person, particularly an Aurovillian, with a 75 slide deck to bring it down to 18 slides. It's it's a Herculean task and a lot of fun. And these are people who are really, committed to Auroville and to their subject area and are masters of it. So that was really, really great experiences.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Rivu, I think it is time that we start to conclude this. I would like to say a few final words, and I'm sure Lalit would also want to do that.
Sure, but
Our
I have a question that the last reminiscing went into past tense. Why is it not in present continuous that you are referring to? And yeah, there is something that we started talking about past, like pioneers. What's wrong? What's happening in the present, and what do you think we can make what was is?
I can go first, and Lalit can then take. So I think any place, if you look at the history of mankind, I'm a student of history of evolution and mankind. Lots of churns happen. Uh, you know, things go in various directions, and as a result, manifestation of new life, new ways of doing things emerge. Auroville is going through one of those inflection points. There is no doubt about it. Um, we will have to reduce the dissonance if we really want. If our goal is to create this pioneering society, which is adhering to the charter, which is the most beautiful thing of Auroville, by the way. For me, the charter about human unity, about unending education, about material research to bridge the past with the future is, I mean, you cannot be more profound than that to, to form a community. So if that is our goal, we will have to reduce dissonance between what that says and how our actions lead to that. Yeah. And the challenge is, because it's such a broad charter, each one of us have different ideas to get there. And each one feels passionately about their way of doing things. Yeah. Now the challenge with the governance system uh, is, how do we enable these passionate people to manifest each one of them to manifest their own, greatness while co-creating this community. Um, and that right now is going through a churn. We will have to come to a point where we have to live with differences with each other while having common goals and building towards it. I'm talking in metaphors and so on. Let me be more practical. I think we have to attract young people. If I want to say one thing, young people come in all forms and shapes. How do we create a mentorship program that, and also resources, financial resources, and learning opportunities for them to become, um, you know, healthy contributors to our society? How do we provide them that space? For me, that is one of the most important things we have to do now. So whether we create a university here, whether we create more units, whether we create the prosperity program, it has to be in the vein of providing a genuinely robust, healthy, welcoming platform for young people, which is fair, equitable, and doesn't require for them to bring money from outside to come to Auroville. I will stop here.
Yeah, in fact, you had highlighted that point before, that at one point of time, everybody kind of starts producing for the other, and all of a sudden you discover that we ourselves can't afford it anymore, and that shift is a very very critical balance somewhere down the line. Uh, yeah, yeah, Lalit, what do you have to say about the present?
Well, one of the beautiful differences and ways me and Min have always enjoyed is Min comes from a very also direct and practical approaches, which I fully relate and also subscribe to. All the recommendations, what he is saying is very much needed. Absolutely, there is no doubt or there is no denying any of that. I am also a student of a process part. For example, you know, we have many layers within us as human beings. We are carrying the DNA homework of God knows minimum more than 10,000 years. And those formations, deformations, if it is easy or if somebody can imagine and hope that within 50 years all that can happen quickly because you have come to Auroville, I am not very easily likely to either believe it or to fall for it. So there is a process of surrender, which Mother and Sri Aurobindo also say quite a lot. So I'm not sure how many of us are in very rightful state to grasp the meaning of those processes, how much of layers we need to remove. And it is very difficult and close to impossible to put any time frame, any quantitative framework, guideline, process, decision making of any kind. So if we have been called here, if our souls have been called here, one thing which I remember and I like personally as a motivation, not to do something better than what world does. Mother says we are here to do which is impossible. So our journey, our process of from wherever we are, in spite of amazing, brilliant work activities, sustainability, otherwise, they are all amazing, inspiring steps. But in my reading, they are still a smaller step, a child learning how to walk. So, a child who is learning how to walk, to keep expecting that child to win Olympic medal tomorrow is also not very fair. It's also not very fair. So we are on the way. There are many people only by being together, learning by doing, coming in a constant, collective space. We are testing, we are co-creating the new dimension, new reality and possibility. My experiment in my life in Auroville has been very collective driven somehow. That has
I
been
think we
my
lost.
calling.
Lalit, I think we lost you.
Whether I relive
Lalit, I think we lost you.
Can you hear me now?
Lalit, can you hear us? Just switch off your camera for a minute, for a second. Minute is precious. Lalit, are you there?
I think we lost Lalit. Rivu, while Lalit comes back, I want to say one thing to you. You are a crazy person who, I don't know what you were thinking when you undertook this task. I thought this was impossible, but many, many congratulations to you and everyone who was behind this. To get us to speak in this way is such a joy, such a privilege, and you made this happen for so many of us. So well done to you. And you also managed to, just like other things that we were talking about, get different perspectives to speak on in this very important week of Auroville. Yeah. So well done to you and your team. And
Yeah,
I hope
Karan.
you can give up and you keep doing it and also drag us into all of these things.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Before you conclude, I thought I should also share this thing which I came across in the mother said in 1966 on 21st September, the birth of Auroville wasn't preceded by any thought. As always, it was simply a force acting, like a sort of absolute manifesting. And it was so strong that I could have told people, even if you don't believe in it, even if all circumstances appear to be unfavorable, I know that Auroville will be. It may be 100 years, it may be 1,000 years, I don't know, but Auroville will be because it has been decreed. This is I don't know why I thought of sharing this. I came across this just before while looking for some things on the birthday. I think we have lost Lalit. Uh, okay. Thank you, Min. Thank you, Lalit. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone who joined us. At 6:30, we will be joined by Devdeep Ganguly from Ashram, and then Michelle Danino, who has been an International Advisory Council member, speaking on a very important thing about what exactly is the foundation for Auroville to go forward. And then we have from the East West Institute a series of talks by various other Aurovillians through the night, moderated by Devashish Banerjee, which will also be live at the Auroville Timelines channel. And I think all of it put together, we can bring about a prismatic image of Auroville, which is not kind of one-sided, which we hope to be able to put in forth you all its complexities, may not be all, but still substantial amount of complexities in a very complex time where Auroville is facing quite getting lost in few narratives. We have to kind of we thought that it is our solemn task to kind of remind ourselves and everyone else that Auroville is a multitude of narratives. It's of all kinds of flowers and all kinds of species and all kinds of thoughts, which make this place the learning space, as Lalit was talking about. I think Lalit is back. Lalit, sorry we lost you. Uh, may Lalit give a concluding remark, because the way you started with Lalit's remarks, we will close.
Oh,
Over to you, Lalit.
thank you. Sorry, some connection issues are happening. Can you hear me now? Okay.
We can hear you.
Okay. I mean, I think I'm also quite done, and it's already we are touching that time limit. So I always end up seeing things and yeah, perceiving and also communicating two sides of the coin. So we need both inner and outer. And what Auroville has done, nobody could have come here if they did not have the inner drive Mother has called them to work on. And what they have done and contribute is in different fields is incredibly amazing and inspiring. And that keeps me also going when I see, look at particularly even the work of pioneers. You know, I might not have planted a single tree as such, but we are able to enjoy and nourish ourselves also in the environment of the work done by the pioneers. So what they have done with their own commitment, how they applied themselves in that condition and situation, then other people are also doing. So we have to keep a very honest and open aspect of both, you know, inner and outer. I have also heard and seen many examples, even people like Roger, for example, our late chief architect, called by mother, appointed by mother, he himself had to go through quite a lot of challenges. So the nature of issue and situation, and not from this time, I think from multiple time periods or even yugas, the play of forces is always there, and we are not away from it. So how we are able to use the normal aspect of play of forces to create a next level of living laboratory, I think I see the homework in that. The churning, the complexities, here to stay, because we are working, we are on the pre-stage, we are aiming, we are aspiring for harmony, we are aspiring for peace, we are aspiring for unity. So we are still passing through the pre-stages of those things. So a ground is being prepared by all of these. Ground is being prepared. So I am not much, I would say, worried, or this doesn't bother me greatly in terms of the nature of, because I have seen all kind of seasons also here. So these are very much part and parcel of the curve of the growth and evolution of Auroville. I also have good faith that at the right time, right people will also come, and they will pick up the role, responsibility, calm, and they will take it to the next stages. That also does not give Auroville, I would say, free hand and a license, as if we should not develop our own conscious system more consciously. So far, what Auroville has got, one of the main quality which Auroville has enjoyed and developed and demonstrated, it is freedom. Freedom has been doing a work, it will continue doing a work, and it has also done a work. How do you bring together the fruits of freedom then together? It's like a decentralized development to some kind of loose, I'm not saying centralized, but some kind of way of system, the next stage of that. Otherwise, decentralized can always remain decentralized. Then how do you bring a collective setup? So there are multiple layers which needs to come together. So a new software, new approach for that. I think that's a very clear homework what we have. Clear homework what we have. And it is in that sense I see Auroville, in spite of all both challenges, however we see, say living curriculum, you have to live it. And it
Thank you.
offers the possibility. Thank you very
Thank
much. I hope it was useful in some way.
Yes, thank you so much. May our prayer that our freedoms remain, the freedom that has brought Auroville to what mean, and you showed it to us. May we retain our freedom, may we retain our autonomy, may we be able to work without fear, and may the divine anarchy spirit that Mother envisioned in every Aurovillian come true. Thank you so much. Thank you for being present.
Thank you,
Thank
Rivo. Thank you, Main. Good to hear you
Thank you.
again after a long time in this passion and format. Good fun.
Thank you.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
All the best.